Okay, good morning everyone. I just like to welcome you all here this morning to our webinar session where we, the Nvolve Group, are going to show you how with our BRC Manager technology platform we're able to help you make your compliance training matrix a lot easier for yourself. My name is Pauline McGrellis. I'm going to be taking you through the session this morning, and just to give you a little bit of a loose agenda for this morning over the next 35 to 40 minutes, I hope to cover off with you a little bit about the Nvolve Group, who we are, who we're helping. We're going to take a little look at the traditional methods of managing compliance within the food industry itself, and you know, when talking to people like yourselves, you know, how you all manage that particular process itself, and talk about some of the issues that come along with using the more traditional methods of compliance management, and really how BRC Manager helps to reduce them issues, you know, reduce the whole compliance risk, cost and workload within your organizations itself. Now, we're going to do that through a live demonstration of the platform, and we will, towards the end of it, actually have a wee Q&A session where you will be free to ask questions as you go along. Now, we have quite a few people on the session this morning. There's lots of you in the food industry who are in different roles, so you know, from quality to technical, HR, learning and development, and I think, you know, given the different roles themselves, like different people pick up a lot of you know, the different the different functions within these sites, so I hope this will become appropriate for all of you. But yeah, so just a couple of housekeeping things. Questions really within your GoToWebinar portal on the top right hand side that you have there, the little control panel, you'll have an area where you have a question section, so just there where the little red marker is, you can pop your questions in there and I'll be able to see them at the end of the session anyhow. And also I've got a couple of handouts for you this morning. One is a copy of the slides that I'll use today, and also there is a risk management report as part of the service that we offer back to our clients. On a regular basis, we send you out a risk management report itself that actually shows you, gives you visibility to all the areas of exposure within your organization in terms of your compliance, whether it be from a training perspective or indeed from an auditing and non-conformance corrective actions, etc., etc. So that's there for you guys to download, so feel free to use that as you wish as well. Okay, so just moving on quickly, I'd like to share with you a wee bit about the Nvolve Group, who we are, what we do. So for the last 12 years or so, we have been helping primarily food industries help them to manage their compliance and risk within their organizations, and that, as I say, is primarily the manufacturing industry. So initially we started the business with our Respond Point technology and our group learner solution. Really, this is our interactive keypad solution that we were helping people to deliver large volumes of training or multiple training sessions to multiple staff. So this is a wee bit like the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Ask the Audience scenario, and you know, where each individual populates an answer through a keypad, and all the information then uploaded onto the platform. So again, allows you to do you know, training to groups of individual staff at the one time. So that's what we built our business on. Then, as we were working with our clients, a lot of people talked to us about compliance not just being about training and having the tick in the box about the training that we have delivered to our staff, but it incorporates also elements like auditing, as we talked about, in our own internal audits, our BRC self-assessments, our non-conformances and corrective actions, and even down to now your traceability in terms of documentation from your suppliers and vulnerability assessments, etc., etc. So hence BRC Manager was conceived, and our BRC Manager solution really is our complete 100 paperless risk management and compliance platform for BRC certified industries. But it's not really just for the BRC certified industries, whether you are SALSA or another accreditation, you know, the process is still the same really. So, you know, it can be used outside of the BRC certification itself. We then have a set of, or a catalogue of ready-to-go courses. There's about 24 courses that we can also deliver to you guys as well. So instead of maybe, you know, having to do the training in-house yourselves, then, you know, again, the training courses are there available for you to purchase as well. Now, these training courses are actually available through our keypad delivery method, also downloaded onto a tablet and delivered through the tablet and through e-learning delivery as well. This is just a list of the courses that we have, and you can see that there's you know, quite a large range of courses that are fully endorsed and approved by the CIEH. From level 2, we actually have level 3 as well, food safety, supervising food safety, and really into the whole food safety and health and safety in terms of your manual handling, slips, trips and falls. And we also offer, I think it's 3 different assessments really, where you can assess your staff's individual level of awareness or knowledge around food safety, health and safety. And we also have an ESOL assessment, which is for our staff who are English speakers of other language, to determine their language levels, you know, that we have within. So that's a little bit about our courses, and I say they are deliverable through 3 different methods: the keypads, the e-learning, and also the tablet delivery as well. So here we have just information on some of our customers here. We're working with various different customers within various different food sectors, whether it be meat and poultry. Moy Park there, one of the largest poultry providers throughout the world itself. And you know, Moy Park, we were actually looking at rolling this across 4 different sites there, but they are heavy users of our BRC management system from a learning perspective as well. Out into bakeries, CSM Bakery, Jackson's Bakery, into seafood, Iceland manufacturing, marine harvest. So, you know, whatever the food industry, you know, we've pretty much got customers in each food industry itself. So the typical, just touching on the typical methods that you guys, as we're talking to you, tell us about what you're using to manage the whole compliance process, really. So, you know, we see this very much as, you know, your documents and your spreadsheets. So, you know, as we all know, 80% of training is actually delivered through paper documentation, you know, whether they be work instructions, training documents, SOPs, policies, etc. So we take the document to the member of staff, we get them to read it, we sign it off, and then we go back and we would put this into, you know, their training record, or indeed, you know, a filing cabinet. And then what we do, depending on who is managing the different area of training, we update the results of the training in a different spreadsheet. And you could have various different spreadsheets actually managing different elements of training, whether it be food safety, health and safety, induction training, and then keeping records of the training plan for that individual itself. So, you know, what you tend to have is a multitude of spreadsheets managing a multitude of training procedures by a multitude of people, and also then, you know, a huge amount of paperwork that actually comes with the process as well. So, you know, this can bring challenges to our organization, and especially you guys on the floor managing that whole process. And what happens is that, you know, essentially you get so much paperwork that's involved with the whole process itself, that you kind of tend to get bogged down in it. And, you know, that's a lot of what people talk to us about, is helping them to reduce their whole paperwork process itself, and reducing the amount of process, you know, helping them with their obligations with the greener environment, etc., etc. And so training and documentation sign off will show you ways that we can, with our BRC Manager solution, is actually have that whole electronic sign off, and also remove the the need for paper and reduce the workload involved with it. People talk to us about the amount of time that they spend updating training matrices. I've got one guy, before he came to us, he had 500 training procedures that he had to get across 200 staff members. Now, as we know, there's other organisations that we work with that have got larger volumes than that, but for him, his real headache was managing that whole spreadsheet of 100,000 cells that just kept getting longer and longer and longer, and it just became practically impossible to manage. So he came to ourselves and asked us for his help, and he's moving towards the the platform itself. So again, that's taken that problem away from you. When we ask, a lot of people that we talk to about how compliant that they believe they are, like, it's very much a finger in the air. People can't tell us how compliant their sites are because, as we know, different spreadsheets, if you're using different spreadsheets for different training procedures, these spreadsheets don't actually talk to each other. So, it's practically impossible to get good management reports from a traditional system like that actually gives you total visibility over your own site, how compliant all of your staff are in all of your procedures. So again, this is really where our BRC Manager helps you to work towards that, really. We also talk to people about their audit process and how they spend so long preparing for their audits. And that really is, as we're announced in our audits, and a lot of our customers are pushing us a lot more towards going unannounced in terms of our audits, our BRC audits. So what we have to do now is to get way more prepared for our audits, and instead of a few weeks beforehand as we run about and try and get our house in order and get everything shipshape, we have to be really living and breathing compliance on a day-to-day basis. So really, I suppose the whole guts of BRC Manager is to help you to build that real strong culture of a robust culture of food safety and health and safety, that you're providing not only the information and the tools for your people to do the job, but you're also providing a safe environment for them to work in. So that's really, I suppose, the essence of BRC Manager. The common issues that you guys are faced with today, and also how BRC Manager helps you to address them. So the solution to the issues, as mentioned, BRC Manager, a single, centralized, paperless compliance and risk management solution. What you actually get in the platform itself is via an online management account that I suppose in the essence of it allows you to manage all your employee training plans, documentation management, up revising, so that you can ensure that when the auditor arrives on site and they ask you for evidence that someone has signed off and been trained in a particular document, that it is actually the right version of the document that you produce to them. So again, we'll show you that through the demonstration. Again, we have the ready-to-go courses that can be inbuilt into your platform, so that it's all automated in the platform or via the tablet or e-learning and the results. You don't have to worry about marking the courses, sitting down with the paper assessment and marking them afterwards. So again, all the automated process that will automatically update your inbuilt compliance training matrix as it actually happens. And then, off the subject of today, because we very much are actually looking at the training matrix side of it today, but we also have the ability for all your technical and quality people to actually build in our internal audits, to manage our internal audits, our audit schedule, manage corrective actions, do your audits on a tablet, manage and create and manage the corrective actions from the tablet, take photographic evidence of your corrective actions and your non-conformances, etc., etc. So, and manage the whole supplier documentation and your BRC self-assessments and your vulnerability assessments as well. So, that's really, I suppose, the guts of the BRC platform and what it allows you within your complete site to actually manage that whole process. So yes, what we'll do now is just to pop on to the demonstration, and what I'm going to cover in the demo today of the platform is really the learning management side, the document and up revisions, employee training plans, dashboards, management reports, all these areas, and then we'll take a wee look at the tablet apps that we actually have there. I can't show you that across the internet in a live environment, so what I've done is I've taken a few screenshots that will be able to show you how the tablet apps actually work there. So let's just pop on to the platform itself. If you bear with me a wee second, we'll give you a minute. Okay, so as we log on to the platform, each individual will have their own individual logon. So as a manager logging on or an administrator actually logging on, you will have your own sign-on so that you can always stamp and mark who it is that's performed what particular actions itself. So I'm just going to pop onto the enterprise demo account there and open the platform. So what we have is I'd just like to explain how the system works. So we talk about replacing and removing the need for spreadsheets and paper work and filing cabinets in essence filled with paper and records and that. So what we've essentially got here is filing little tabs going across the top here, which essentially, if you think about these as filing cabinets of information that we build up and we hold information about different areas of the process, whether it be our employees, whether it be our documentation management, whether it be our learning and our courses, or indeed our audit manager itself. But I'll take you through these and I'll explain them in a little bit more detail. So the directories, if we start with the directories, what you'll be able to see here is a list of all our employees. I can also set up our managers, our suppliers, etc. as well, our auditors, information about the people within there. We have our performance manager, which is really, performance reviews, annual reviews that you would maybe want to use in terms of staff reviews and that. Some people use them, some people don't. Into the document manager, well, this is the area essentially where all our document control actually happens. We have different views here of documents, whether it be our live documents, archived. We also have an approval process that you can build up within the system itself, so that when a document is created, it's assigned to someone for approval. Once that has been approved, then it's released out into the training plans of the individuals who need that particular training itself. And then we have our document management reports. So I'm just going to pop into a document very quickly here. If I take, let's say, the cleaning work instruction here and go into the document, I'll give you a little bit of more information about how we manage the documentation and the document control that we have in it. So with every document, you can actually define a group of documents, whether it be your work instructions, whether it be your SOPs, policies, etc., however you name them within your organization is how you name them in the system. So this one is, I mentioned, a work instruction. Then we have our document title, the cleaning workstation. Again, you name them your own titles there. This is revision 1. It was created on the 27th of June this year. The average training period for this document, well, a lot of our auditors now are actually looking to ascertain how much training on an annual basis that you put into your staff. So we're able to give it an average training period there, so that we can tally that up, for each procedure that they have actually done. So that again can be done through the reporting itself. So here we have a grace period for the document. Now this is really when the document goes live into the training plan itself. The grace period is a reasonable amount of time that you will allow to that member of staff with their manager or their team lead to complete that training procedure. Once it goes outside that actual grace period, then it pops in as a non-completed and would show as a non-conformance or a non-compliance in your training records itself. That grace period can actually be changed by yourselves, depending on the actual period that you want to define there. So that's all customizable by yourselves as well. We also have a document owner. So again, who takes the ownership of that in creating that, so that can be assigned to the individual as well. The training validity period, well, it's valid for 1 year, and we're going to review that every 6 months. The document status is live, and what we can also look at here is any supporting files. We upload the actual document to the platform, and then that document becomes available for download onto the tablet, and from a tablet device, that document is then available for reading via the tablet device and actually signed off then by the individual member of staff and also the manager who takes responsibility, or the team lead, supervisor, etc., that takes responsibility for that employee. We can actually assign the document to employees, and we can also assign the document to work groups. Now, the work group essentially can be either, production line, or, like a specific job role. However you want to define them yourself, you set up your own work groups, and then what you do is you assign the individuals to the work group. And then what actually happens is that once the document is assigned to that work group, then the document will appear in each training record of each employee who has to complete that particular procedure within their training plan itself. We can also set up training packs of which we can assign the document to. Now, a training pack is, essentially, we've got a lot of organizations that have, maybe a base level of training where they have like level 2 food safety, level 2 health and safety, slips, trips and falls, manual handling as a base level of training. So we can set that up as a training pack called base level or standard training for every employee, and we can also then assign the training pack to the work group as well. So, and here is where we just assign the document into that training pack, really. We, as I mentioned, have the approval process where we can assign the approvers. Again, just by hitting the assign button, I can actually go in and assign the actual document to a, an individual, just like so if I want to. I'm not going to do that in this case because I've already got, someone looking after that. But here we have also the previous revisions. That actual revision was revision 1. What I can do now is I can up-revise the actual document to the version 2, and then once I up-revise it, it will go off to the approval process. Once it's been approved, it'll go into live document status, and what will happen is that if it, let's say all of the staff members that actually have this document assigned to their training plan, then automatically version 2 will be updated within their training plan itself, so that if I as a staff member haven't completed version 1, when I go to download the document onto the tablet, I will be actually trained on version 2 rather than version 1, because that's what that's the triggers that happens within the system. That's automatically and automated within the system itself. So no need to worry about okay, I've printed off like 10 copies of the document, of which are 6 months old, and we've had like 3 revisions in that time, and that's typically how we get into bother at the audit stage, when we realize that actually the person has been trained on the previous version of the document itself. So that's all an automated process. So that's our document management and how we manage that particular process itself. We also have the document groups. So if we look there, we can see all the document groups. But if I go in and I look at, let's say, the pending approval documents, you've probably seen that there was a little message come up there to say that the document had already been up-revised. That is this particular document itself, the cleaning workstation work instruction. So that's sitting in approval. So the person who has picked that up as the approver, that will then appear in their own personal account which they would log on to and go through the process of approving that itself, really. So that's the document control side of the platform. I just want to pop in now to the learning management side. So what we've done is we've set up all our documentation and within the platform, and we have also then attached the documentation and the actual documents, electronic documents, to the records. So now what we're doing is we're going to pop into the employee training plans. First of all, so that we can take you through how they are, how they look essentially within the platform. I am going to just have a wee look at William Burke's record there, as I've highlighted, and just hit the show details. And behind this is a lot more information about William himself, when he actually, his record was created, his date of birth, etc., his ethnicity, directory code. This could be like a payroll code or departmental code, like whatever you want to set it up there. His email address, if he has actually got e-learning assigned to him, then he will need his e-learning, his email address there. And also we've got a wee bit further information, his gender report code. And we've got a nice little photograph there of William. I know what a lot of people tell me is that we've got all these names and we go to actually find the individual on the production lines. We've no idea who they are, because people could have hundreds of staff there and managing hundreds of staff. So it's always nice to have the ability to put a photograph to the record. And again, you can view this photograph and this record from the tablet. So as you go out to perform, and to get a document signed off, you know exactly who it is that you're looking for, really, if you don't work in the production environment but are responsible for their training itself. Okay, I'll pop into the training plan. What we have here is essentially your inbuilt matrix, and as the training happens on the tablet or indeed on the keypad system that we have, then it all automatically gets updated onto the employee training record itself. So here we've got the current training plan. I can actually go down and look at all completed training if I want to, and see where William has actually completed the training plans itself, or the training procedures. If I pop into the food safety for manufacturing, then this is a course that he has done via our platform itself, and we can also download the actual certificate that has actually been issued from that actual course itself. So that's just popping into the certificate there. So again, when an auditor comes on site, then again we have easy access of the information there. So I'm just going to pop out and close that down for a second. So yeah, easy access there. Just close that off. If I look at some of the other training, let's look at the current training plan. We can see there, okay, yes, this is the completed course there. Again, I can view that information from this particular area as well. And also what we can see is the non-completed courses that he has there in the different areas. This is the training type, whether it be maybe external training course that you may have to send your individuals on. This could be for a particular piece of machinery that the manufacturers of the machinery has got their training courses on site, and that's like a hands-on kind of like operating the machinery itself. Your Respond Point, which is delivered through the keypad system, and the group learner courses is all the courses that are actually within our catalogue. And you can also then have your policies and your supplier documentation, SOPs, work instructions built up within the system. So here we can see there's a couple of procedures that pop into the grace period. We can see the information of when the course, completed date of the course, when it's expired, and again the ability to pop in and view information, further information that's available there. We can also see what work groups that William does belong here. He's in Chennai and slicing work group as well, and we can also see then what managers or team leads, supervisors, shift managers, etc. that essentially essentially William reports to there. So that is the training record. What I would like to do now is just to pop into the manager dashboard and show you a little bit of information about, again, getting high-level bird's eye overview of, exposed areas in terms of what our training is looks like essentially. So what we have here, in accordance to our employees and the training plans that we have actually set up for the employees, this is our meters, our compliance meter that is measuring against the actual employee training record. So here we can see I am running at 11%. I probably need to pick up a few areas there. As overall responsible for training. Here down the bottom here, what we can have a look at is the top non-compliance courses. So these are the most exposed areas that we have, and we can see that, okay, we have the demo procedure there, the document that has got 53 episodes of the training due there. We can see the SOP cleaning version has 51. If I click the information or the view button, I can see a bit more information that goes behind that. I can see what's been completed, what hasn't been completed, and essentially who has completed that one instance that has completed the course there. So again, I'm able to get nice graphical information at the touch of a button rather than having to run pivot tables and macros like within our spreadsheets to actually obtain that information. Over at the right-hand side here, we can see our top non-conforming managers, team leads, supervisors, shift managers, whatever you call them internally yourselves. Then we can see here Mohan, well, he's got 160 episodes of training to perform, as is Dominic, and so on and so forth. So we're able to, at a glance, get good information that shows us that if we are unannounced in terms of our client requirements with our BRC, and an auditor arrived on site today, where our areas of exposure are. So that's quite valuable information that you do actually get there. At the bottom of the graph here, what we also have is the courses and the documents that are actually coming up for expiry. So it keeps you in check, really, as opposed to as the review and the refresher training that does actually need to happen. We've got one expired there, 31, sorry, and none coming up within your 90 days itself. What I would like to do next is show you a little bit further reporting that we have here. Again, from a management perspective, reporting is quite critical, so that we're able to spot these exposed areas. But we have quite a lot of reports that are actually built up within the system itself, from our course reports that we report on the individual courses, documents, work groups, completion reports, and course completion reports, manager training periods, etc. But let's have a wee look at the manager matrix report. This is one of my favorites, actually, because I, as a manager or supervisor, team lead, etc., I take responsibility for a certain amount of people within my production line to make sure that they are trained in certain disciplines. So what I want to be able to do is to get at that information very, very quickly. Now, people talk to me about how training, I suppose, and compliance training and all compliance is really, it's sometimes seen as either, oh, it falls with HR or training, or it falls with technical or quality. It's them that's responsible for that. But I suppose where BRC manager goes is really that robust culture, building that robust culture where everyone takes responsibility for compliance and for training. And most of the reason why people don't take responsibility is because they just don't know where they are in terms of, well, what needs to happen, what has been done, what are our areas of exposure, etc. So this is where I, as a manager, I'm going to pop onto Barry Harper's report there, and I'm going to have a wee look at his. But I, as a manager, can get, again, full visibility to the exposed areas that I actually have. So this is me as a manager, all my employees that I'm responsible for. We've got a few different pieces of information there within the report, but if we look across the top, this is all my training procedures that I need to take my my staff through. And we can see going across the top that we've got different elements that have been completed and different things that haven't. We'll go on that pops into the grace period there. But what I love about this report is the next two things that we're able to see. Not just are we able to see at a glance what they've done, what they haven't done, but in terms of complete compliance, how compliance in terms of a percentage is each member of staff there. So I can see William Burke, okay, he's running at 15.38%. So you really are able to flag you know, the staff that are going to pose the biggest risk to you in terms of when an auditor actually does arrive on site. As with, if we look at the bottom line here, what we have, the percentage completed against the actual training procedure, we're able to see where we're doing well and what we're not doing too well or so hot in itself. So, you know, again, we're able to build our training plans around that, what training courses that we need to do, whether it is, you know, in a group environment, whether it is if you have, let's say, a production line down because, you know, some machinery isn't working, we're able to pull the tablet out and actually download the documentation so that the individual staff member can actually be signing off some of your documentation that is causing you a bit of a risk there. So they look at the documents, they sign it off, go through a lot of the document sign off so that it builds the compliance rate itself. So, you know, you're maximizing every opportunity of downtime for your employees to actually have carried out training when you're able to do it this way, you know, rather than, you know, sitting down in you know, a room or you know, a classroom and doing the whole paper-based training. Again, that does take you know, quite a long time to deliver that training itself. Okay, and you know, as we talk about you know, the time to train, you know, pulling people off production line to train these staff, you know, it's a hard job to do. So again, why not avail of the more modern technology and being able to sign this all off through the tablets itself. Okay, so that pretty much covers the platform. I just want to pop back into the presentation, and as we're on the actual tablets itself, and I'll pop into show you a little bit about the tablet apps and how they look. This is essentially a few slides or screenshots that I've taken showing the tablet and what you see on them. Depending on the area that you're wanting to access, whether it be Audit Manager, Learning Manager, Document Manager, Performance Manager, then you have the little blocks there that you select. Going into a training, into the Learning Manager, I can view the, like from the tablet, I can view the training plans, manager reports and work group reports. I can also see a list, I beg your pardon, of my employees there. So as we see, there is William Burke, who was running, sitting 3 courses assigned to him. He's completed none of them in this particular screenshot. So he's running at 0% compliance. He's done a little bit since that, but yeah, so it gives us the overall compliance rate of our individual employees. Again, we have the searchability, you know, to search under their name as well. This is an individual's record, a training plan that, again, take the example of a piece of machinery broken down. You know, in this case, Patrick, he's sitting twiddling his thumbs waiting for the engineer to fix the, you know, the slicer. So I'm going to get him to actually read some of this documentation and complete the cleaning instruction card there that he hasn't actually completed, or run a course that we have within his plan. This is just one of our courses, a screenshot of one of our courses, the food allergen and labeling awareness course that you know, gives a bit of a screenshot on that. And again, this is the documentation that we have once the individual has, let's say, read, and in this case it was a standard operating procedure, it was an SOP 005 revision 3, then, and we can have that completion and expiry date would be populated as well. But this is the employee's signature. The employee would just sign it on the tablet, and then the manager's signature, you would hold that together, on the system, so that you didn't have to do it every time, and you would have also access to show the documents and the supporting documents as well. But this is essentially your electronic sign-off, getting rid of all your paper, you know, going green essentially within your environment. So that is essentially you know, the demonstration of the platform and how BRC Manager can actually help you to you know, reduce the risk, reduce the cost, and reduce the workload and the paperwork involved with the whole learning side of things itself. So at this point, I'm going to just pop into my questions and have a look. What do we see? We've got Helen. How long does the BRC Manager solution take to get set up? It's a very good question, Helen, in terms, because people actually think, okay, I've got a lot of information that I have maybe in my personnel records itself. So what we want to do is to be able to get that information out. What we do is we will take all the information from, when I say all the information from you, we will essentially work with you to build the platform as quickly as possible. So we send you out, we have import files that, again, taking the information, so you just copy and paste from your spreadsheets into the import files, and we import it for you. So within a couple of weeks, you know, you'll have that built up, you know, to actually be able to then, you know, run with the system itself, really. So hopefully that will answer that question. Steve, I've got Steve and many others actually asking how much is it. So with the learning side of it, as I talked about, BRC Manager, we've got the ability to do the learning and the training management, and also the audit side of it. So you know, it's like an enterprise solution itself. So with the enterprise solution, with the ability to manage the audits and the corrective actions and everything I talked about a wee bit earlier, that is £4,995 per year for a 3-user platform, and that gives you the 3 users. It also gives you implementation, and also the support, telephone support, and your training and getting it set up across the year as well. So that is the platform price. If you have just a need for the learning management side, then we can separate the auditing side from it if you like, and you know, or you want to run with the learning management side first of all and then work towards the auditing side, then we can look at that and separate that, and that's 2495 for the entry level 3-user system itself. Now guys, I know that we do have many people on the session this morning, so there's quite a few questions coming in here. So what I will do is I will I'll try and pick up with you. I'm very conscious of time, but I'll try and pick up with you in terms of asking or answering each of your individual questions. But you know, what we would do next, like when I log off of the session today, you also have an option to give us what your next steps would be if you wanted to look further at this. So I'd appreciate it's just like a wee like click box, you know, in terms of your options itself. Anyone that wants to get in touch, well, you know, you can pop onto our website there. My email address is below there, and you know, just want to thank you for listening today. I hope you found the session useful, and you know, we run regular webinars, so if you do want to you know, pop onto any of them again, then you can do anyhow. So I'll just pop off the session, and you can share with us what you would like to do next in terms of learning a little bit more about this or not, as the case may be. But thank you all very much for attending, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers now. Bye bye.